Greetings, Internet. This is Cody from the 904 Pinball scene, which used to be in print. Now it's all here on YouTube as you watch. And as you can see, we're with Roger Sharpe at Pinball at the Beach, which so far, how do you review it this year?
It's phenomenal. I mean, it's a totally different experience. I am appreciative of Ed inviting me out. It is laid back. It's freaking cold in Florida at a time where, it would have been nice, but I'm not complaining. When I go back to Chicago tomorrow, I'll know what real cold is yet again. But it's just a fun assemblage of stuff for players. I know that there's tournaments that were going on. Did the screening of the movie, which is, very, very much gratifying and humbling. The amount of games that are here being displayed, it's truly a phenomenon. The location itself is awe-inspiring to the extent that it is as voluminous as it is. And for me, I totally lost my sense of direction.
Yes.
And not knowing where I'm going on which habit trail. But having said that, this is, I've been to a lot of shows both domestically as well as internationally, and this one does stand apart. And however it's been positioned, this is now the second year, I take my hat off to them. So I think that they found a niche, and it's just nice. It's nice, very people-friendly.
Marshall's done a great job. He's an operator that took over Curly's operation, Little Shop of Games. He has a great team. Most of this, I can't quantify the number, most of it are his possessions from his business. So he moved them here, and Spooky brought 12 Beetlejuice. I heard 10. I'm like, 10's a lot. We got 12.
Well, and you can't get near them. Everything is
nice
piled
line.
deep, 3, 4,
12
5,
lines.
6 players. Right. The same thing with all of, in quotes, the new games that people haven't experienced yet.
Winchester's Mystery, 12, 15 deep. I looked, I'm like, 14,
Harry Potter?
10.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's a hit.
You wanted to play that? You can't, but you can watch these people play. But there's a great assortment of stuff.
It's fun to watch, though, too.
Yep.
It's a vibrant boutique industry now. Is this as many companies as Pinball's had at one point going?
It's getting close. I mean, we have to go back to the 30s, but yeah, I mean, if you take a look at the boutiques, all of the companies that are out there, the one-offs and whatever, you probably have, I think worldwide, probably about 20 different companies.
I can't even name them.
I'll be generous in saying companies that are producing pinball machines. And whether they're just doing 10 or 100, and they're at a build rate of 1 a week or 2 a week, okay, I mean, that's their business. That's where they're investing their time, effort, and energies. And I think that, it is remarkable on many levels, although, you can't compare it with the previous era. But for the 21st century, there's a solid base to it, and then it goes back to, where do you go from there? The industry is X. Okay. Is it X plus Y or X minus Y? And those decisions are going to be made across the board. They're going to be made by the manufacturers. We're cutting back, we're cutting down, we're changing our business model. We're staying where we are, we're comfortable with it. We don't want to grow, we do want to grow.
Or we really grow.
Right. Versus the audience. We want, we don't want. How haphazard is it? How many games can you absorb as an individual person based on available space? Knowing that the marketplace is driven, truthfully, only by North America. We're the only place in the world that actually can afford, not financially, space-wise, for people to have game collections. If you have a flat in London, maybe you can fit a game in. And I know in some places, and there's one outside of Chicago, Ord, where it's 3 people that have combined resources to open up their own, in quotes, industrial site, which they open up for people. It takes the pressure off of their home lives. They found a place where they could have the games, people can come and enjoy them. You pay a fee, you're either a member of the club or whatever it might be. And I think that, that becomes a fairly unique business model, but it's still only North America. I mean, you do have places like Freddy's and some others that I've heard about and have visited when I have gone overseas. So you do have places that are somewhat business related as well as, hi, we're staging events and open to the public, whatever the legal restrictions may or may not be. But I can't fit any more games in.
Then what do you do?
Right.
When you hit the...
Well, I can fit one more in. Okay, do I sell? Which is my least favorite? Or which can I get the most money for? Or which I don't have a sentimental attachment to? And I think that becomes the challenge of waiting for the next generation. The people who are 35 to 60, I would think, and I don't have the market research, I would think that probably comprises about 85% of the audience to buy pinball. So their children are going to inherit the games. It's a ready collection. I have 25 games and 5 antiques. Josh and Zach don't want the antiques. I'm working with some folks to make sure that they find homes. In terms of my 25 games, who wants what? Josh has joked, we'll let Evan have all of them. Or maybe Benson gets some, or what, effectively, it's not going to necessarily be a handoff of all of them to somewhere based on space. Until you can enlarge your space, I have 9 pinball machines in our living room. Thank you, Ellen. I have 2 antiques in the dining room. Thank you, Ellen. The boys had 2 pinball machines each in their bedrooms. Thank you, Ellen. I have another 12 downstairs in my basement game room. Okay.
The old league.
Can I fit in more games? Yeah, there's a few different places and I can juggle some stuff around, but again, it becomes finite. I'm not going to, especially in the Midwest, I'm not going to change my garage and start to carpet it and do all sorts of great things. I actually have a novelty redemption game that I designed with a group, and it's wrapped up. It was shipped, it's in the garage. It's one of a kind. And I was called with a sense of urgency from Ellen because the folks delivered it and it wouldn't get through the door. So I think it's about 10, 12 feet. It's a big game. So what am I going to do with it? Well, it's in the garage. At some point in time, somebody will get it. Whether or not I donate it to a place like the Strong or wherever else, if they may want that. But the point I'm trying to make, and not necessarily just dwelling on my situation, is when you have an audience, a target audience, that is reliant on various factors as to what they need. It's not a question of buying a brand new TV because it's the 2027 models. Do you really need it? So you have electronic manufacturers that are trying to, it's 4K, it's with Fire Stick, it's so on. It's all of these different perks and things, and look at the prices. You can find a decent sized TV of 32, 35, 40 plus inches of screen for what, under $1,000? Where 5 years ago, those were $2,000, $3,000 TVs.
$5,000 for a TV at times.
So then it becomes a situation of how do I incentivize that market, that audience? And the point I'm trying to make, and maybe people think that I'm off track in terms of what I'm attempting to get back to, although I never left it, is how do you develop commercial? How do I find homes for these games? How do I expose more people to it? Because this is going to be dependent upon, in my situation, the estate. Who are the heirs to my games? Do they want them or not? And if they don't, and the games are in working shape and everything else, well, somebody's going to have to invest, buy them, or whatever. It's not necessarily they're going to go on the scrap heap. They're still viable. The antiques from the 30s and the first one ever patented from 1871, totally different audience. I know that. And I will find homes for that, and I have people lined up already that I've had communication with, because it's not something that is appealing to either of my sons. Just because of the nature of the games themselves and the historical context of it is not something that is as meaningful to them. So, with that being said, for this hand, where all the games here, all the lines and everything else, what happens with the next release from X company? And however many hundreds of games are going to build, or thousands of games. What happens over here with this company and their release? What happens with all the games that are already out there that are in great shape that people are willing to sell? I mean, there's only so many, I guess, Martins or whoever out there that want to stage events.
Right.
So many Rob Works who say, yeah, I'll bring 800 of my machines to Expo. Okay, and some I'll sell, but majority are going to go back, and I've opened up my own Pastimes arcade. So I've now taken the games out of the warehouse, and now they are revenue generating. Okay. I mean, Tim Arnold. I mean, if you take a look at the bigger places and the bigger, what I think of as being the collectors out there, Tim never had an expo. Rob did for totally different purposes and reasons. It gives more life to those machines. So
They should be used. They can't just sit.
well,
I mean, typically, right, to keep them going, like like a car, you gotta play it, you gotta drive it.
right. So that becomes really the challenge. The challenge is now that the novelty is worn off, what happens to that game? Does it just sit there? What happens? I mean, there's enough times where I've heard from people, and I always joke about it. I don't have any room, Roger, for a game or for another game. And it's like, don't talk to me. I have 5 in a studio apartment in New York. So, sorry. And I think that, all joking aside, I would love to see there be more intentional activities out there, not necessarily self-serving for individuals, to try to grow the commercial market, to try to encourage location owners who don't have operators necessarily to take some empty space over there in the corner, put a pinball machine in. Because you've analyzed and you know that that place is near a school. You know that place has space in the service department waiting area, other than the TV that's up there.
Tire
the barber
chain,
shop.
brake shop, tire place, haircut,
Right.
haircut facility.
And the challenge with that back in the day was it doesn't earn enough. Well, of course not.
Versus zero, that
Yeah.
unused space.
No. It doesn't earn enough for the operator.
Fair.
It doesn't earn enough for the distributor to place that there on a split with that manager, location owner. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about independent individuals of which they know who they are, already have a game or two that are out there, started with a game or two and now have 20 or 30. Now they are, in quotes, a route operator, and it's either something that they are doing as a side business, maybe a primary business during tough times. And I think that that's what I'm looking at. What I'm looking at is somebody, to your point, you just said it. It's doing nothing in your basement. Well, I can can do $10 a week. It's already been paid for. I mean, my God, it's a 30-year-old game. You know, nobody really cares about jokers. Just using an example, it just came to mind, not for any reason. Then we put the jokers here at this pizza place, this party room in the bowling alley. Hi, I'll operate it, I'll maintain it. I will give you 20% of whatever it brings in. If it brings in $20, you're going to get $4 for doing nothing, just allowing me to effectively rent the space.
I call it paid storage.
Yeah, I mean, it's a perfect way to look at
The
it.
worst location I have ever. Nope, it's paid storage. Thank you.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. I mean, what I'm saying is that you can bring these delinquent children out of the doldrums, because there comes a point in time, truthfully, depending on however many games you have, how often are you really playing all of them? Or is 80% of the time based on the latest and the greatest, and then you go back to some of your other favorites, and there's some that are in the middle that you really enjoyed, still love them, still play them, not every day, not every week, but a couple of times a month, and it's there and it feels good that they're there. I mean, there's only so many days in a month. When you start getting into double-digit collections of games, what's your frequency? Somebody came by today during the autographing session. Was it Star Trek? I think he brought Star Trek Backlash.
Next gen.
Yeah, next gen. And he put up the high score or something at home. He said, yeah, I just went down to, and if I'm misspeaking the person and or the game, my apologies, but the impact that it had on me was truly enough for me to remember it and recount it here. Was, yeah, I started playing, his wife was standing next to him, and it was dinner or whatever else, and yeah, an hour and a half later I was done. I just, I blew the game up.
That's cold dinner.
But it's interesting, because then the question becomes, and I didn't ask it, when's the next time you're going to play it? You know, back in the day, just using an analogy from a different art form, when video games were really simple on a 2600 or whatever else, you could get in and out in a couple of minutes, depending on the platform and the system. When suddenly you got into things that were a little bit more in-depth, like Madden football or whatever else, it took me 10, 15 minutes just to set the damn thing up before I could play it, and now dinner's ready. Okay, well, and before you had games where you could actually save in certain places, the minute you left that game or turned it off, you had to start all the way over from the beginning. So, with that being said, and the depth and dimensionality of what's now being done with Pinball with Insider Connect and elsewhere, and different rewards and different challenges and all the rest of it, you are embedding in that the videoization of pinball. And with that being said, now there's greater longevity of the games, so that hopefully you can put them out on location. Hopefully you can get people a little bit more involved on a regular basis. And if you're near a school where the high school is letting out for lunch, or college campus game room, or the student union has players, they're going to come in more often. And maybe, which is really taking it to another level, but I've done it, maybe you can actually run a tournament. Maybe you can actually do a league, dare I say? And now you not only have increased your revenue stream, kept the games really kind of front and center, whether you're doing it as the operator or the technician or whatever else, you now have a more vibrant community of people who are going to be there to support whatever you're going to invest in. And now you can actually upgrade if you want to, or diversify when it comes to the ability to get certain games where it's like, oh my God, I saw this cherry game at such and such an event. Gotta buy it. I mean, I can't believe that they only want $4,000 for it.
One thing that Stern's done, many things with Insider Connect. One thing is, once you have the array of achievements, 100 or whatever, you can look back and think, you can remember what you've done. Whereas if you don't, I don't know anybody that's ever taken a piece of paper and said, I've done skill shot, I've done multi-ball, I've beaten bebop and rocksteady, I've been to there and back.
Right.
Nobody does. You remember it. But now with Insider Connected, one thing that's I think is pretty cool about it is you can see what you've done. You see how many times you played it. I think that data is cool for the customer, great for me, wonderful for Stern. I think that's it's
Oh, no, it sets a new standard. Trust me, I admire what they have done. As I said, I do call it the videoization of pinball, because video games had that, by and large, whether it's home and you keep records of performances or
PlayStation
and you get the
Network,
data.
Xbox Live.
Yeah, but now
How
with
many
the ability,
hours?
well, now the ability to actually compete against people in faraway countries and lands. Hey, I mean, this is the common language. This is universal. So I think the challenge, going back to it, and there's not an easy solution, is where is the greatest upside potential? And how do you monetize that in a way that doesn't transform a hobby into a business, but effectively allows both of those aspects to flourish? And what do any of the individuals out there, number one, think of it? Number two, whether or not they would be willing to do anything? Number three, to what extent? Number four, what's their belief and hope when it comes to
Do you guys know where the comedy
pinball?
club is?
I think it's right down the hall.
Down the hall.
Yeah.
Got it.
Thank you.
Sorry, folks, for the commercial interruption.
I don't have any jokes, but I would have cracked one if
No,
I
it's
could.
okay. But I mean, but that really is the essential. Is, you know, do you care? Does it impact you? Or the scene, not based on truth in the movie. No, I have my own game. Thanks. Good luck with your court case. So that's my feeling as I sit back and wonder, where's all this going to go? Because truthfully, and maybe as an end epilogue to our discussion, where pinball has evolved to from what I first started with Steve Epstein in '74 is here. It happened. I mean, I firmly believe Steve did as well, just because of similar circumstances and experiences growing up. What do? Bowling leagues. We weren't going to be professional bowlers, but there's got to be leagues. I mean, that's why I came up with a scoring system, for God's sake, and why it took me 3.5 years to, in quotes, prove it and perfect it, which has now been embraced by and large, you know, over these past many decades. I'm very gratified that that took place the way that it has, even with some of the changes before, from 7-5-3-1 to 4-2-1-0 to 2-1. I mean, whatever the numbers are, there's a certain balance to all of that, which the biggest challenge was that all of the exact same games are not going to play the same. Different games are going to have different scoring thresholds. How do we optimize that? Because bowling is 10 pins, scoring is there. Maybe the lanes are a little bit oilier or greasier over here than they were over here. I mean,
It's you versus
there's
the
a
lane.
standardization to that pinball doesn't have, although now it has a way to equalize all of that, where the score is absolutely something that is significant in establishing what does that mean over here. So all I'm saying is, what are folks wanting to do? And if it is a status quo, okay. No one's saying it's going away. All I'm saying is, do you want it to be a hobby or a business?
And for the business to sustain, there has to be a certain amount of growth
Yeah,
with every company.
yeah, yep. We've seen many companies falter and leave. You know, I've said it repeatedly. I may have saved pinball. Granted, Gary kept it alive.
Correct.
I take my hat off to Gary because that's something that he believed in. It was in his blood, in his soul, and he kept it alive. And then Jack came in and reinvigorated it in a way that nobody,
Challenge the narratives.
well, nobody had expected it. He changed the form.
Nobody did.
Right. And I think that that becomes the part that is so remarkable about pinball, is that somehow it is self-sustaining, but only up to a point. And I'm not going to be around long enough to see where that evolves to, but I think, again, I'll go back to it, not wanting to be repetitive. Hobby or business? What's important to the people out there? Do they care? Are they willing to put themselves out on the line to do something? As I shared with you in terms of some of my activities, many of them not even having to do with pinball, in terms of just acknowledging, growing, having the public become much more aware of things that were going on, activities and the like. How do you make that happen?
It's, to me, previously in past decades, you're either all in or you're all out. Now it's a blend. There's a lot of blends. Some people dabble here, dabble there. They're half in, half out. Are you saying that if more people were all in, that would help the industry as a whole? People are more in or all in, or
No.
okay?
Look, you have enough folks where partial in is better than nothing. To assume that somebody is going to take it all on, or groups are going to take it all, no, that's not realistic or practical. And it's not their obligation or responsibility to do so. It's up to the companies who rely on business, to whatever definition that business might be. Private collectors, enthusiasts, whatever, versus commercial locations. Whatever that split may or may not be.
It's their job to help grow both, right? I mean,
But if somebody selfishly can do something, I'm sitting here as the perfect example. I mean, I really look at my legacy, if you will, in my career.
you have work.
I didn't.
You've had work, endless work, opportunities. Correct. I mean, just in general, you've had a lot of opportunities.
No. But I'm talking about specifically why I'm sitting here with you, why I exist in this world. I wanted my own pinball machine. I grew up without pinball, discovered it in college, lost it when I moved to New York, was in a situation where if I do an article, at least I'll get to know people, meet people, and I can buy my own game. I mean, the flood of all of that happening just for pure self-service, if you will, to be able to get my own game, and suddenly I fancied myself to be a writer of more repute than just somebody who's doing a pinball book, let alone somebody who's going to be testifying in New York City before City Council, being the first outsider to design a pinball machine, which is now everybody can have that chance, but coming in from the outside, knowing nothing. I mean, that one scene, again, taking some liberties. They're all in Chicago. I live in Chicago. What's going on here? I know nothing about any of this. So if I take a look at the course of my life, if I'd grown up in a community, city, suburb with pinball machines, it would not have been as a remarkable discovery as it was. Would have just taken it for granted. It's like, okay. And nothing would have happened.
It would have just been vanilla ice cream. Okay, I've had that. Oh well.
Right. But selfishly, wanting my own game, I sit here now 50 years on April 2nd of this year to celebrate that court case. April 2nd, 1976. All because of that. That's some kind of story. So, anything is possible. I'm living proof. Thanks.
Thank you.